right back, Charlie. Definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
There's always just that active and that defending. I think it's like.
Are we live? Of course we're live. Special guest settings. James, how you doing, my guy? You good?
I'm very well, thank you. I was just enjoying your intro. It's actually the first time I've seen it, but that goal was nice. So yeah,
I have a one-goal wonder, man. I'm never letting anyone on my channel forget it, my guy.
No, I'm very good as you can be after that game on Sunday, because it fully took the wind out of my sails that day. Like the rest of the day was just a write-off. I didn't even watch the United game. I was just in a bad mood.
He was that deflated.
Yeah, I feel better now, so we're all right.
I mean, you know what, that sets up this stream perfectly, man. Before I obviously ask you on West Ham versus Arsenal, what have you made of Arsenal this season?
We've been unbelievable, like completely beyond anyone's expectations, and the goalposts have changed because at the start of the season it was top four would have been decent. I was pretty confident going into the season that we would get top four. I felt that other teams, the way we were going, we were getting so much better last season. We missed short. And then we signed players who were obviously level raisers in Zinchenko and Jesus. So I thought we were going to get it. I obviously didn't think Chelsea were going to fall off a cliff the way they did, or Liverpool. So I predicted as actually third behind Liverpool and City. But yeah, as the season went, and then we started off so strongly, and it was never the title race. Even maybe people were like joking in November and stuff, but I was never.
Didn't take serious,
like,
isn't it?
right. We were like, let's just play our thing and let's see what happens. And then it's come down to it, and now we've won. I think we've won 7 games and drawn 2, and people are calling this a bottle. People are saying like, yeah, it's crazy, but and especially we came out of Anfield and said a draw wasn't good enough. So kind of that says how much the level is raised. People are giving up. There's definitely not time to give up because it's still in our hands. It's going to be very, very difficult, especially if we don't win at the Etihad, but it's still possible. But yeah, chin up after Sunday. Like, we've got to keep going, and hopefully the players don't take that into the next game. Southampton's a good game to bounce back. I'll say that as well.
I mean, as you said, it's a good game to bounce back. You know, when you've lost or dropped points, I keep saying lost. Even me, it feels like we drop points. The best thing you can do is react. The best way to get out of your system is to win. And as you said, it's for me, I wouldn't say it's impossible. I think personally it's improbable. I just think City are going to do what they're doing. But until it's mathematically ruled out, we need to keep fighting. And we can only do that looking forward. So you're right, man. We just need to keep going. You touched on something, and it's something that I'm sure you've spoken with your Arsenal mates. The media definitely said, is it a failure that Arsenal have if Arsenal don't win the league, considering, you know, what we've had, and we've led the title challenge for the best part of it?
It's not a failure for me. It's a disappointment, and no doubt, because of the strong position we're in, but it's definitely not a failure because also you get screenshots and people know what they're doing. They post screenshots of us like 8 points clear, when this 8 points clear was never. City had a game in hand, and we still had to go to Anfield, and we still had to go to the Etihad. So they know what they were doing. That Etihad game was always going to be massive. So even when it was 8 points, let's say they win their game in hand, that's 5 points. We still had to go to the Etihad. So let's assume that City win at the Etihad as they have been all season. That's 2 points. So we're still top of the league. I don't think it would be a failure, it'd be a disappointment, but I do think if you think about Liverpool, the season before they went on to win it, they pushed City close and just fell short. And then the season after, they absolutely blitzed everyone. So I do think we'll be back next season, whatever happens.
I mean, that's a good omen, man, because I look at last year, obviously we crumbled at the last sort of opportunity to get top four. Evidently, we've learned from it. And while mathematically we can still not finish in the top four, unless an absolute madness happens, we've ticked that off. That was the goal in August. And you touched on it. The very fact that, you know, we're disappointed with picking up draws, and, you know, people are moving like we played 9 games and got 1 win. We've actually been all right in our last few games. We've always reacted this season. I think we're doing all right. I think I understand it. I think you put it perfectly. quickly, it would be a disappointment. I'll go as far as to say it's a missed opportunity because we're going to improve. Everyone's going to improve. We don't know what the landscape is going to look next season. So it would have been an opportunity. And as great as City are, and it's about fine margins, it's kind of been in our hands. I'm a bit sympathetic to our players because, you know, I think people got to remember the levels we're coming from, 5th, 8th. And I think because of what we've done this season, credit to Mikel Arteta, the way we're playing, the interchanging movements, the curtain raisers, as you said, I think people are putting us on a level where we're not. You know, City have been doing it for years. We're kind of trying to establish that sort of thing. And I think because of the way we've been performing, obviously the table doesn't lie, but I don't think it always tells the truth. I think people are kind of putting us at a level that we're not. We're probably expecting Arsenal to play to a level that at this moment in time, if you're looking at challenging for a league, them fine margins. And I think these things are obviously highlighted when we've dropped 2 points from winning positions in our last 2 games, the occasional draw and things like that. So I'm happy. I mean, people are going to run agendas, but for me, nobody put us, many people, unless you're an Arsenal fan, you wouldn't have put Arsenal in top 4 shouts when you was making your predictions in August. People would have put Spurs above it. So with that, it can't be a failure. But as you said, it's a missed opportunity, especially claiming the first Emirates Premier League. And some people that support Arsenal haven't even seen that. So we go again. Looking at the West Ham game, what did you make of it?
It's so frustrating because obviously we were 2-0 up. And we'd created 2 big chances. We deserved to be 2-0 up as well. We were absolutely dominating. They didn't have a single chance, basically. But I do think that kind of gave us a false sense of security. And we just, what annoyed me a little bit was, I know this is kind of how we play. And if we went 3-0 up, everyone would have said this was incredible. But Jesus dropping so deep, it is borderline. And you can do that, but it was almost borderline arrogance that we'd won the game and that, all right, let's just knock the ball around a bit. And Partey did the same for the goal they scored. He tried to knock it over Rice's head in like on the edge of his box. And it's not a risk you need to take. And they always say 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline because once it's 2-1, the fans come up against you. We're now feeling the pressure because we've not been in a title race like this before. We've just gone 2-0 up and cost a lead last week. We absolutely should not have been taking risks. And I do think whilst, we were 2-0 up and absolutely smashing them, because we went 2-0 up so quickly, nobody ever really saw the flaws in the fact that we couldn't build up because of holding, because of Tierney. Our build up, the whole game wasn't great. Whereas I say we scored 2 goals because we were converting 2 chances that we got through them. But it's not like we didn't create that many chances. We scored both the chances we created because they were massive chances. But we didn't create that many in total because when Holding had the ball, he couldn't find space in between the lines. And when Tierney was inverted, he couldn't find the same space that Sako does. So I think a lot of it does come down to the build-up. And everyone says, oh, we bottled it. We did. But I think overall, we were bad all game. It wasn't just, I know we scored early twice, but we were bad all game. And then once we went to 2-2, we just looked completely lost of ideas, especially when Sako missed the penalty. After that, the wind was taken out of us completely.
Deflated,
it was frustrating because, as I say, Holding didn't have his best game overall. He's not good enough for us at the end of the day. But the annoying thing is the mental side of it, where he's like lofting balls over the top to Saka. It's like, look, if you're not good enough, play within your limitations, pass it to someone who's good enough, but then don't keep losing the ball.
Sorry to cut you, but playing devil's advocate, right. would you say that is him playing in his limitations if he is hoofing it? Because I share everything you're saying. It's just I have a duty to be devil's advocate. If he's hoofing it and just
no, you're right. No, you're right. He is. I guess he is playing within his limitations. But to me, when he's under pressure, him hoofing it, I understand. Even though it pisses me off so much because to be at this level, you cannot perform. You can't do that.
Definitely in today's day.
It was like there were times where Gabriel would pass him. He would take a big touch. He'd have the whole field in front of him, and he tried to clip it over to Saka. And it's like you're just giving away the ball. You're just giving away possession for another 3 minutes. We don't have time for this. I think he should have been subbed off as well. I thought Arteta, I'm sure we'll get onto this, but I thought Arteta got the game management pretty wrong, to be fair.
I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I will be fair to Holding and say, that I think for the first goal, he skipped out Saka and I believe Benjamin White and found Odegaard, and obviously eventually got switched to Martinelli and we ended up scoring. But I agree with everything you said. I mean, in the present day, for a team that's trying to be a top club like Arsenal, unless it's backs against the wall, resolute defending, Holding hasn't really got any capabilities that can help us. As you said, not really out of 10, probably a 5 at best on the ball, being kind to him, probably not of the level. He doesn't really back himself in those moments with Saliba. I personally think yesterday it's unfortunate, but he's a weak spot in the Arsenal team. People start targeting him. I think that's actually where the first goal came from West Ham, because if I remember it correctly, Gabriel had to overcompensate. He's gone over to the right-hand side, dealt with Antonio, eventually between holding Tierney and Partey's then got caught. So I agree, kind of harms our build-up play and things like that. Do you think fans can be unfair to Holding? And again, I don't think social media is real life, but I do find it a bit wrong to suggest on socials that, you know, kind of if we exclude Rob Holding, we win yesterday. And to be fair to him, the same way I praise Arteta for the squad he's assembled, negatively, surely you have to take any blame if there's any holes. The very fact that we're relying on Holding at this decisive period off the back of what we saw last season, who do we then draw the blame on, really and truly? And I don't know about you, but I'm at that point now with Holding. Everyone gets criticism, but evidently you're not good enough in it. So it's like, I can't really get annoyed anymore at Rob Holding. Shouldn't be here.
My frustration at this point isn't at Holding; it's more internal frustration. Of course, there's natural frustration at Holding, but I'm not taking it out on him.
Yeah,
like
100%.
a lot of people are. It's just like, and I agree with you a bit about Arteta's squad building, but at the same time, he's probably our fifth choice right centre back. Like, you'd have Saliba, you'd have White, and
you'd have Tomiyasu if he could as well. Yeah, but injuries happen.
Gabriel, I guess he's our fourth, because you're not going to play Gabriel right centre back. But yeah, so he's our fourth choice right centre back. But we just happen to get 2 injuries in the same position. The only team, I guess, Chelsea and City are the only teams that will maybe survive that a little bit better. And give Arteta another year, and Holding's not going to be in this team, and I don't think Tierney will be either, to be honest. Regarding his performance, as I say, it was the biggest frustration and the biggest reason why I think it cost us is because there were sometimes, especially when it was 2-2 and we didn't have much time, we had to sustain pressure. He can't sustain pressure like Saliba can. And also sometimes he got in 1v1 situations and he did win the ball, but he just booted it out of play. And that's what I'm saying. So you can't blame him for that, because not everyone's Saliba, but Saliba gets in those situations. He wins the ball. He drives the team up. It's a massive difference. I think the biggest difference was actually Tierney versus Zinchenko. But we can survive without maybe Saliba. We can survive without maybe Zinchenko, but to go without both just kills our build-up too much, I think.
You're right, man. I think it would kill anyone's build-up. I mean, I have a lot of sympathies for Arteta. I don't with injuries, no matter how tough they are, because someone's always got it better, someone's always got it worse. We've seen this script, and I believe as Arsenal, definitely in the last 5 years, we should take an optimistic, pessimistic approach to injuries. Like, we should hope everyone stays fit, but we should be over prepared. If it's winter, you'd rather have too many jackets than to step out and say, oh, I hope it don't rain or whatever. I mean, issues. And I think we kind of go through that. I agree with everything you said about Holding. To be fair with you, to be fair to both of them, in my opinion, first 20 minutes, we shouldn't even be sitting here talking about this. We should have headed the game. I agree with you, because now that I think about it even more, there were some periods in that second half. Like, I don't know if you remember when Mikel Antonio hit the crossbar, you know, first half, where Holding's made that slide tackle where he has technically on the corner. I'm just never confident in him. And I do think there's a bit of a handbrake that kind of spreads to the rest of the team naturally. You've played football, I've played football. If you play Sunday League and you know your friend that you play with isn't exactly fast or whatever, if you're a fullback, you're going to be a bit narrow. If you're a midfielder, you're going to be less adventurous. And it goes back to your point regarding build-up play. With Kieran Tierney, I'm a big Tierney fan, would love him to stay. But if Arteta, regardless of who is playing left back or right back, kind of demands the same old thing, then your role obviously becomes obsolete. In the same way, we're never going to see a true great out-and-out defender from Zinchenko. We're never going to see what Zinchenko does in Tierney. It's not him.
Just to interrupt you on that, I think with Tierney, I also rate him really highly, and it's a shame that Arteta, and I think it is a weakness of his, but Arteta's not willing to change his system at all for him. I think knowing that you've got Tierney, we used to do this. We used to play Tierney high and wide, and we used to play Xhaka deeper in the Tierney position. But for some reason, Arteta is refusing to do that now, and he's putting Tierney in the Zinchenko role and playing Xhaka high up the pitch. I think that, as I said, that's a weakness of Arteta's, is that he's not willing to compromise on his ideas. And as I say, we've previously played it, so it's a bit weird. But I understand, because we've won games this season playing that system. Why would you change? But you've got to change to suit who you've got. And this is why it's not a problem for Pep, because he has every profile and
wealth of options. Yeah.
Exactly. But at this point, because we don't, the same happened last season when we have a few starters out of the team, we just look terrible. So yeah, Arteta is a little bit to blame for that. And as I say, because of the subs, but overall, look, we can't complain. He's got us this far, so and it's not over yet.
I mean, yeah, man, I'm a big fan of Arteta. I think even if you was pessimistic on Mikel Arteta, even if you still have question marks, the good undoubtedly outweighs the bad. In the same way, we have big expectations of Saka, Saliba, Martinelli. If they play well, we'll praise them. I believe in fair criticism. I believe the same with Arteta. I love everything Arteta is doing. I just feel, touched on what you said, sometimes we can be a bit cute and a bit clever. Like, you're not going to get Zinchenko out of Tierney. Can we use him traditionally? Which I get. If this is your principles, this has got you up to this point and still in great form. I would also say there has been times where he has made elite substitutions, or actually not made subs, but I do think sometimes they've been a bit bewildering. Like I looked yesterday when he made the sub, whoever, I think Nelson came on, Vieira came on, and then almost instantly Nketiah came on. So it's like that was a bit bewildering. And I just feel away from this, especially when it comes to the Europa League, I don't feel he necessarily manages a two-legged tie well enough, but he's still a young man trying to learn. So I'll cut him the slack sort of thing. What did you make of Saka apologizing for saying sorry? Me personally, I love Saka. I'm here for it, but I don't think you need to apologize, Saka, man. You're the whole reason we're here to a degree. It's sad that you missed, but it's the reality of a footballer, man.
Yeah, I think it's even crazy that people. I know it's very, very few Arsenal fans, but you do have Arsenal fans blaming him and saying like, "Oh, where?" And also rival fans saying like, "Where is Saka in the most important part of the season?" Well, a big reason why in the last few weeks Saka has gone
He's been
quiet.
ever present, like.
Also, first of all, he was very good against Liverpool last week, and since the World Cup, he's been one of the best performing players in the league. But also, if you're going to talk about the last few weeks since Holding's come in, White's had to go deeper to help him, and Saka's been isolated again. So,
And he's a marked man. There's about 20 players on him every minute of the game.
yeah, which is why Martinelli's scoring so many goals because there's more space on the other side. So that's all nonsense. I ignore rival fans talking about Saka because they're just jealous.
It's just agendas, man.
Of course, he doesn't need to apologize, man. He's been our best player probably been our best player this season, yeah. And he continues to carry us to new heights, and I'm sure he will respond on the pitch as well. So he doesn't need to apologize, but I appreciate the apology. And just hope he doesn't let it affect him. He's shown before after the miss in the Euros that he can bounce back like crazy, and then even just set new levels for himself. He puts his team on the back sometimes. It's nice to see.
Facts, bro. I can't add anything on that. I mean, just word for word everything I would have said. Big up Bukayo Saka. Just keep going. Do you think we have a mental problem?
No, I think we have an inexperience problem. I don't think it's a problem in mentality. I just think it's natural that when you've got a team, and I don't even think it specifically comes from a young team, just an inexperienced team in this situation. As I said with Liverpool, Liverpool, the first time they got in a title race, they didn't win it. Gary Neville was saying it quite well. He's actually, I don't usually rate his takes.
No, I don't say his name, man. I'm not a fan of his, but go ahead, man.
When he was speaking on the podcast, I think it was yesterday, he was actually making some sense. And because the only team in recent years that have won a title race against the odds has been Leicester. Other than that, most teams warm up to it. So especially against this City team, they're tried and tested. They've been here before. They're battle hardened. It's not going to be
easy, man. We're the hunters,
yeah, and the pressure's on. And I think you can say what you want. We've dropped 2 games out of our last 9. One was against Anfield. This was a bad game. This is the first game that you'd consider like this is points dropped definitely in 9 games. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. We've got some very hard games, but if we lose to City and then win every other game, I definitely don't think you can consider that a bottle for me.
Do you think we will do it? Because I've already said I don't look at the league table. I don't know where we are. All this talk of Arsenal and the title challenges needs to be, man.
Do I think we'll do it? I don't think so. I don't think so. I hate to say it, and this is the first time I've said no, because obviously I've always got to back the team. I think, fuck, man. It depends. It depends on if we have Saliba for City. I really think it will come down to that. If we don't have Saliba, I don't think we can get anything out of that game. If we have him, I think we could draw against City, and then it's game on again.
Do you think it's a bit harsh on Saliba? Because I agree with you. I think every Arsenal fan wants the guy back. But again, we're not privy to how much he's been training or not. And even if he is, I don't know, on the treadmill, swimming, whatever he's doing, that can't really replicate match fitness. So it's almost like, on one hand, you're one of our best centre backs. You're first part of the first choice pivot in defence. Can we really throw you in against City? Really? Because you got Haaland, you got this, you got that. It's away from home. You're not in your fit and powers. Is it doomed to fail, sort of thing?
I don't know. I still feel like 80-90% Saliba is better than
No, I'm with you.
100% Holding. So yeah, literally. It is harsh, and I'm sure the medical team will make up their own mind on that. And there's also part of it that if you mess his back up even worse, then he could be out for a long period. He's going to need surgery at some point, I believe.
Probably since the season's done. When the season's done,
it is a balancing act. But obviously, as fans, we just want what we can get, and it's Saliba to play the City game, because for a long time as well, the whole thought has been, we've won 6 out of 6 when we had our strongest team this season, and we know we can compete with that team. Just give us a chance. Just give us a chance with our strongest team. Facts. Against Liverpool at Anfield, it didn't happen. Give us it against City. If they beat us, We'll say, okay, fine, we can see that you're better than us, but at least let us do it with our best team.
I'm with you. And the only problem for me at this tail end of the season is, as you've probably seen yourself, fine margin starts to come into it. When we played City, I think we more than matched them. It was just fine margins, 2 mistakes. It is what it is. Same to a degree at the FA Cup, switching off for Ake. At Liverpool, I would say to a degree the same. Second half, we weren't really in it. You know, West Ham, we threw it away. I'll describe Everton away as our worst performance of the season. Like, that's the game. We didn't deserve nothing. But I would say West Ham away for me would be the most frustrating performance, because I don't know, man. Again, I think it's inexperience. I think for the experienced players, some of them might not have been here. I don't know what, I can't put my finger on it, but it's like we can plan all week and we can go out there with an intensity. But as you kind of said, at times it's like we score a goal and then we're just dropping off, really. And that's to go to that next level. If we're talking about top 4, then we've hit our resources. We've hit our ceiling. We've maximized our resources. To get to that next level of talking about this for years and years to come, that's the sort of thing we got to go through. And I just think with the season Arsenal's having and what we're doing and what Arteta's developed and how great it is, I can't blame fans for getting carried away. But while we have skipped certain steps, I think some fans are probably putting us at a level that we're not. And in football, you can't cheat the steps. You know, you might be able to hide it, but you can't cheat it. So we keep going, man. Again, last question for you. Yeah? Obviously, we've been linked with a couple of players, Rice and Caicedo. I'm sure you've seen, well, you definitely saw Rice's performance. And I hope you saw Caicedo's against Chelsea. Which one would you prefer? And what do you make of both of them?
I can't answer that question. Which one?
Gun to your head, you got to pick one, bro.
I've been and ahhing this for so long, trying to work out which one I prefer. It was Rice for a while, but after I saw Caicedo's performance against Chelsea, he was incredible. Some of the ball, like the tackles he was making and the balls he was winning. Gone to my head. The reason why I'll say Rice is because I'm just so convinced Rice has been in the club's plans for the longest time. And I think also Rice offers this versatility that if anything like what has happened this season happened with Rice would have gone to right centre back, and I think would have done a very, very good job at it.
He could have got away with it.
He can play defensive midfield to a very, very high level. He can play left centre mid, I think, as well. I just think Rice has always been in the club's plans, and I'm pretty confident we do get it over the line. If we can get Rice and Caicedo, we're in dreamland.
Still having our cake and eating it, mate.
That's our midfield sorted for basically like the next 5-10 years. He's incredible. I just hope he don't go to one of our rivals. He literally made an Instagram post saying, "Please let me go to Arsenal." So the ball's in our court. Surely we go for both. Like,
I'm with you, bro. I want both. I can't really pick. If I had to pick, it's kind of like what I echo in my vids. That's why I'm kind of happy you said that. I would probably lean towards, I probably would want Caicedo, but I change every day. I'll probably lean towards Rice because I just feel that, you know, rumors are rumors. Until we've bidded, we don't know what's going on. But it just feels like it's more than rumors. It feels like Arteta already are convinced. I think while I'd expect him to, if he signed tomorrow, compete with Partey or line up with Partey or with Xhaka, I'm enticed to see him in that 8 role purely because we've seen with a couple of our players, whether we've rated them or not, Arteta's got another tune out of them that we didn't even know was there. So I'm enticed to see Declan Rice. And if I'm with the greatest of respect to West Ham, Brighton played football closer to us. Brighton play a lot better football. Brighton are a much more managed club. West Ham ain't that. So you can't really... It'd be easier for Caicedo to show his capabilities than Rice with some of his talent. So it'd be a bit of a different one. And you made a great point that I didn't even consider centre-back. If need be, if you've got Xhaka, Partey, somebody else, and obviously Declan, and we ain't got a right-sided centre-back, it's a multifunctional player. With Caicedo, it's more, and I'm not saying he can't go up the gears and play as an 8. It's just, I just feel you're ready-made. Like, you don't look your age, you don't play your age, you've got that South American hunger. As you said, he was doing the most on Instagram. It'd be a shame not to get either, but as you know, like, we're going to be fighting with everyone for them, and I hope we get both. I just think because of the outlay, which they would slightly be overpriced, I don't think we get both. But if we can pick up another centre mid, why not? In fact, my final question to you on that: what positions would you address? I think 6 and an 8. We both probably agree.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. It's, as you say, 6 and an 8 because we need to build for the future. I think we need a right winger as well. It's not highest on the priority list, but it's definitely on there for me.
Yeah, it's just Sako on his own.
Summer's less. January is definitely a transfer window where you take the opportunities that come. Summer's more like marquee signings, but it's weird because there's no real player who stands out to me as like an obvious right wing target like Rice or Caicedo do in midfield.
I agree.
I like players like Elise, but not enough for me to be like, yeah, he's the guy. I think he's the right profile.
You're gonna have to pay a premium as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Maybe if we were going for a marquee winger, maybe one that can play both sides, like Diaby or from Leverkusen or something. But I'm not well versed enough on these wingers, to be fair, to be able to say anyone specifically. Definitely 6 and 8, as you say, and then I would say probably a right back as opposed to a right centre mid. Sorry, a right back instead of a right centre back, because if we get injuries there, I think I'd rather Tommy as a right centre back. And then White can go there as well, and then have a right back rather than Tommy and White, who are very similar in profile. And I think Tommy struggles going forward, but it'd be nice to have a right back that you could sub on if we're chasing
conservative, isn't it? Yeah,
someone who can come around the side and stuff. So yeah, I go right back 6, 8, and then a winger if anyone comes up.
I'm like you, man. I think if we could get someone of the Trossard ilk that can fill in the front three, especially if they're more, it'd be even better if their strongest positions on the right-hand side, because that's someone to compete with Sako. I actually wouldn't mind a striker of a completely different profile to Eddie and Jesus to allow us to be a bit direct, kind of going back to what we said about Tierney. Obviously, if he's going to send crosses in, someone's got to receive it. I would like a right centre back, you know. I'm not going to lie, it's very reactionary since Saliba's got injured. And if we did have Tomiyasu, then it's calm. But I would rather just someone unhappy about playing football, because there's never an ideal time to get injuries. And I just think since I first had that point, maybe it's confirmation bias, bro, but I'm just seeing it more and more and more. And with Tomiyasu, I agree with you. He could slot in, or Benjamin White could slot in. But the one thing I would say with Tomiyasu is next season, I don't want to just bet on people staying fit. You know, you haven't been able to stay fit, so that's what would check him. I agree with you. Need a right back. Yeah, I think we all need the ball. I think it's not with centre mid. I think we need to address that. If we don't address that in the summer, we're in problems. Really, I think there's no a 6 or an 8. We need both. Again, if you can't get a certain quality, I'm not saying to spend for no reason, but I think we need both, bro, man. I think it's time to really wrap this up. And I think in the last 2 games, more so the Liverpool game, ironically, where Xhaka looked a bit knackered. We needed something.
Rice in the Liverpool game would have made such a difference. He doesn't hide in games like that. He's whether he's having his best game or not, he's always a presence. And usually you'd say that about Xhaka, to be fair, but I think Rice is a different level when it comes to that.
And I mean, if we could, we can't, you know, again, I know we can't get Verratti, but I think we need that press resistant 8, because I just feel that's a form of defense. And when you look at City, this is why I'm not really here for the atmosphere thing, because as to go to that next level, as we said, to win titles and that, we need to be able to go away from home and take the sting out of the game when there's not a single reason to play, where everyone's against us, the fans are making noise, all of these things. That is what the best teams do. I would say that if we can do that by bringing in certain players and Arteta making these players a bit more rounded and street smart, then I think we're laughing, really and truly, if I'm honest with you, man. But yeah, man, it's been a fantastic, what are we, 29 minutes, 15 seconds with you, James, man. I've appreciated your talking points.
I've enjoyed it, thank you.
No, man, let people know before I let you go where they can find you on Twitter and all of these things.
Yeah, just only on Twitter at the moment, at AFC James on Twitter with the X instead of an A. But no, yeah, I just say what I feel. I don't like to dress it up. It's just standard tweeting at the end of the day, to be fair.
No, I mean, everyone's allowed an opinion. People, his information will be in the description when this video is out. So give the lad a follow. He's an Arsenal one through and through. James, I'm going to let you get out of here, man. People, smash the like button, like, comment, subscribe. We're gone, man. One love, my guy. Peace.
There's always just that active red flag. defenders have been given like